Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rosa Esquivel. Yo soy Rosa Esquivel. So I'm with Pilsen Alliance. We are a non-profit justice organization located at 1744 West 18th Street. And we are a non-profit social justice organization. If you need any help with evictions or immigration, education, any type of services for the community, you can reach us at 312-243-5447, or you can write at the Pilsen Alliance at pilsenalliance.org, or you can look for us our Facebook page, the Pilsen Alliance. Okay. So, today my guest is running a little bit late, so I will start with the show, and I'm going to start talking about elections. What does it mean for the city of Chicago? Some of the candidates that got some wins, and some of the candidates that are going to the runoff. There's a lot of things that are happening in Chicago. You know, there's after Rahm Emanuel decided not to run, he left a city full of a lot of problems, right? The city right now is really gentrified. We have a short amount of affordable housing in the city of Chicago, and increasing numbers of homeless people, people experiencing homelessness, and living in tent cities, right? So that is a huge problem that we are confronting in the city of Chicago. We also had the closing of 50 schools. Something that it was approved, but by several, too many of the aldermen and city council. And that is a huge problem because, as in right now, we have a lot of violence in the city of Chicago because there is no resources for young people, right? So, what this election, the 2019 election, is bringing to the table is how are we going to have the solutions for a lot of the issues that are left behind by Rahm Emanuel, right? So we need accountability for a lot of people, and it feels that Chicago is going towards a city that wants affordable housing, such as a lot of people are voting on lift the ban on rent control. The majority of the city is voting, and there's a lot of winnings for lift the ban on rent control, as in right now. So we have around 13 to 14 wards that are expected to have this platform, right? Lift the ban on rent control. So hopefully we are going to have a different type of city pretty soon. So again, we are with Pilsen Alliance, a non-profit organization, social justice. Okay, a social justice organization, and you can get involved with us by visiting our office, which is 1744 West 18th Street. You can call us at 312-243-5447. You can also write us at our email, which is pilsenalliance@pilsenalliance.org. Or you can also visit our Facebook page. So if you want to get involved, just give us a call, visit us at our office, so that would be great. So my guest is here, so I'm going to ask her to introduce herself And what do you do for living?
Okay, sure. First of all, gracias por invitarme. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Jackie Serrato, and I'm an independent journalist. I have worked for various news sources. Most recently, I was working at Hoy newspaper and the Chicago Tribune, just reporting on the Latino neighborhoods like Little Village, Pilsen, the Southwest Side, and just covering those stories that mainstream media normally misses.
So, I just started talking about the Chicago elections, right? And all the damage that was left behind after Rahm Emanuel decided not to run. So, as in right now, I don't know if, do you want to start with the mayoral
Sure.
first?
Sure.
Yeah,
Let's
so we can
with
start
that.
from top to
Yeah.
bottom. So, well, not even the bottom, because I feel like everything is like a piece of a puzzle, right? And everything comes together and to move forward, right?
Exactly.
So, how do you feel about the mayoral race?
Well, I think it's important to mention that this was one of the lowest turnouts,
Yeah.
in recent memory, right? And we have to ask ourselves why. And I think one big factor was that we had so many different candidates, right? And so people, for whatever reason, were not compelled to, were not moved by any one particular candidate, right? So it was hard for communities to get behind one or the other, or one of the 14th, or however many there were, right? So I think that was one of the issues, but it's definitely very promising to know that there are two Black women candidates, right, who could potentially become mayor in the runoff, and that's something that I don't think we have ever seen in the history of Chicago. Like, we had one woman mayor, and she was Jane Byrne. She was a white woman. This was during the Harold Washington days, and you could argue that she was aligned with the machine. Right?
Okay.
So this is refreshing. It's something new, and hopefully it'll set the tone for the future of politics in Chicago.
Yeah. So, do you think also the weather had it like a little?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know that when voters are really moved by a candidate, they will come out,
yeah.
rain or shine. So I think that's what was lacking.
So, so there's two candidates running. Lori Lightfoot, they made it to the runner. Lori Lightfoot and Tony Prewinkle.
Yes.
So, what does that mean for the city of Chicago, and where do you think they stand on issues? Because as far as we know, I was in a lot of forums, like a few forums for the mayoral race, and I feel like everybody was kind of like saying almost the same thing, like we are for progressive values and we want affordable housing and we want this and we want that, like education, all the good stuff, right? So it kind of felt like everybody like was saying the same thing, but then at the end, like when you do your research, we have to see the background of each person, right? And what they have a stand before. I don't know. But for me, I think I have a lot of hope that both of them, they're going to stand for progressive values, like such as housing, right? Because we have a big problem with housing right now. So I think it's up to us to also like kind of push the envelope, right?
For sure.
And on issues. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I feel like both of these women, as qualified as they are, they do come from the establishment. That is kind of like the environment that they've been trained in, or where they've excelled. So I think we should take it with a grain of salt when they say that they're gonna have progressive values, right?
Yeah.
The best we can do is speculate as to how they're going, what issues they're going to be pushing, and how they're going to vote, and if they're actually going to advocate for communities of color. If we just look at who voted for Prewinkle and who voted for Lightfoot, I mean, you could argue that Prewinkle had the Black vote, along like South Lakeshore Drive, and Lightfoot, for the most part, secured the white vote in the North Side. So I think we have to question,
That's
why,
interesting.
what is it about Lightfoot's agenda that that is appealing to that demographic, and what is it about Preckwinkle's agenda that is appealing to
the other demographic.
To the other demographic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, those are definitely things to think about. So in order for us to, I feel like we need to inform ourselves, about the issues that they care about, and what are we going to able to push, as people of color, what are we, and Latinos, right? What are we going to be able to accomplish with them? Like, especially like, let's say immigration issues, right? As in right now, we have something that Rahm Emanuel called welcoming city. Like I never heard him say sanctuary.
Right. He's very
right?
careful.
Yeah, like I never like people will be like, oh, sanctuary city. He'll like, no, welcoming city. It's a difference, right?
There's
it makes
loopholes.
a difference, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So who is going to call this city a sanctuary city, right? For the immigrant community, So
I think the communities of color, we snoozed a little bit. Nobody was expecting Mayor Rahm Emanuel to step down to say, I'm not gonna, run for re-election. I think it was a shock to everyone.
Yeah.
And so, as communities, as the Black community, the Latino community, if we want to separate ourselves that way, we were not prepared, right? So we all scrambled for like, oh my God, who could possibly run,
And it was very surprising, like, and refreshing at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like, 2 Black women for the runoff.
Right.
That is like history right there,
And there were plenty of other candidates that were also coming from, communities of color. So
Yeah. So now I want to stretch a little bit, maybe talk a little bit more about the Southwest side. Maybe some of the words that were like important, like a little bit more important, like right here in the South side, right? Like let's say the 14th Ward, right?
yeah.
That's Burke.
Yeah, he's the longest serving alderman in the city of Chicago, 50 years, and even though people are aware that he's been under FBI investigation, people thought that, that might sway the election against him. But he got over half the vote. He got like 53%. If I have my numbers right, yeah, he got 53% of the vote.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
Like that's shocking. And it's very. Do you think it has to do with people educating themselves? I don't know exactly what his platform looks like, but I imagine it's like very, very establishment. Receiving money from developers, corporations, that are only hurting people of working class people.
And he does have an established base. I mean, obviously being in power for 50 years, you start to build relationships, whatever the nature of those relationships are, but you start to build relationships across generations, right? So it's kind of difficult to undermine that. But also, even though the Latino community is expanding in the Southwest side, we're still relatively new there. Okay,
so I think it has to do a lot with political education, educating yourself on issues, and I think that's something that it will be like very important in our Spanish-speaking community, like mostly like los señores y las señoras, a veces se impresionan, right? Like, so yeah, we need definitely some education, political education in the Latino community, definitely.
Aunque hayan muchísimas familias, even though there's a ton of Mexican and Latino families, if they're not registered to vote, if they're not informed as to what are the platforms of these candidates, then they have no reason to go out and vote. You know what I mean?
And then we go to the what is the other word? 22nd ward.
Right. So.
Which is like that's where you live, right? Like
yes.
Okay.
So I'm in Little Village, and after Burke, Ricardo Munoz would be the longest serving alderman in City Council. He He's been around for 25 years, and he also chose to retire for his own reasons. I don't think it had anything to do with like the recent issues that he's had with like alcoholism. Well, that's not a recent issue, but he's had renewed issues with
That's more like
alcoholism.
personal stuff, yeah.
Right, and the issues of domestic violence and stuff like that. I don't think those were the driving forces behind him retiring. He did say that he didn't want to be another Burke, right? But the voters in Little Village have known for many, many years that Mike Rodriguez was gonna end up running for alderman. He was just very, very close to Chuy Garcia and to
He's very known.
Munoz.
He's very known.
Yes, and politically involved, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very politically involved. He's ward committee man right now. He's head of the county Democratic Party. So, everybody saw it. Everybody could see it, even though he never actually admitted that he was going to run until last year.
Until last year.
Yeah.
And on issues, he seems that he's very progressive. Like he cares about the immigrant community. And how do you feel about, like, because that's your territory, so
Well, I do have to acknowledge that, with all of Munoz's faults, right, he has been one of the more progressive voices in city council, which says more about city council, in my opinion, than it says about him, right?
Yeah, correct.
So I believe that Mike is going to continue that progressive agenda that Ricardo had, but he's going to radicalize it a little more.
A little more,
and I think,
and that's important in that community, right? Because this is a community with a lot of immigrants and undocumented
exactly.
people. So we need somebody that is going to protect those families, right? Somebody that is not going to let the police collaborate with ICE. Well, now we have the gang database that it's been,
It's dismantled.
So that's something that it was a step forward towards protecting undocumented families. So that's amazing.
So Mike has said that he supports the No Cop Academy movement. So I actually did a live stream with him yesterday.
I didn't know about that.
And I asked him in front of the camera, like, Mike, in front of La Vida page, like, Mike, can you commit to supporting No Cop Academy? He's like, yeah, for sure, 100%. And he said he's gonna support, the city becoming a sanctuary city. So let's see, let's give him a chance. And if he doesn't follow through, then I'm sure people in the community will hold him to it.
Yeah, so that's good that they are good in the issues. That's what we need, right? Like we're talking about who is going to move forward with the issues that the communities need, right? That's what we wanna see. So then, let's see what other ward. I think we can go to 25th ward.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is
my
territory. So the 25th ward. So after this whole issue, the whole investigation of Danny Solis, somebody that was in power for 22, 23 years.
Yeah.
So he steps down, right? And then 5 candidates come out to run, right? Finally, yesterday, it was election day. We got results, and the final results is a runoff between Alex Acevedo and Byron Siccho Lopez.
Which everybody was expecting the runoff. I'm not sure if everybody was expecting
the candidates,
who they were gonna be,
the people that they were gonna be. So on issues, right? I feel that Acevedo moved a long way, from issues as he was before. I feel like he's moving to more progressive agenda, right? And then Byron Siccho Lopez, well, that's the most progressive candidate in the 25th ward. A lot of the issues, but it's also like similar, right? Like they were supporting issues that are similar to each other, but at the same time you could see the difference. For example, Acevedo is not supporting CPAC, right? Which is something that is really, really important in communities of color because of the whole police, accountability, right? So I think moving forward, how do we, how to say that? How do we navigate? And how do we push candidates, whoever it is, right? Either if it's Acevedo or Byron, how do we move them to the right positions and to the right directions to move with the what the city of Chicago needs? So I feel that as in right now, we need to move forward in immigration issues, also housing, education, mental health clinics. I don't know. In the southwest side, there was a lot of mental health clinics there.
That were closed.
That were closed down.
With Cardenas's.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's another word.
That's another word, right?
let's focus on 25th right now. Right?
Yeah. So we have 2 minutes. We only have 2 minutes.
God. Okay.
So, 1 minute actually.
Okay. Let me just add really quick that the residents of the 25th ward did a great job. Not just during election time, but years prior, pushing the candidates toward a position that cared for working families and for maintaining, or increasing affordable housing. So I think the people of the 25th ward, including with the forums, the 8 or 9 forums that you guys had, have already pushed the candidates to close to the right positions.
Because we concentrated a lot on issues.
Yeah, they just need a little more nudging, and they'll be perfect.
So as you know, the city of Chicago needs definitely change on issues. Especially, we need a strong people for issues that are for the working class families of Chicago. And we need a difference. And hopefully, this show was informative. And thank you for being here, Serrato.
No, thank you for the invitation. These are important conversations, and we need to have more of them.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for staying tuned. Okay.
Bye.